10 fun things you can do with $1 billion. In his song Billionaire, Bruno Mars sings about how much he wants to join the elite group of people who make ordinary millionaires look like peasants. What does it mean, however, to be a billionaire on a daily basis? How much purchasing power does $1 billion really provide? And most importantly, for a statistical point of view, how likely is Bruno Mars to have his desire for wealth come true? Let's find out right now. The following list presents 10 examples of what it means to have $1 billion exactly. Number 10. You would be richer than 13 nations. The individual gross domestic product, or GDP, of the 13 poorest countries in the world is less than the net worth of a billionaire. The island nations of St. Kitts and Nevis generate modest annual revenues that would leave some American CEOs wondering how they manage to pay the country's yacht club fees. $1 billion is so much that, in addition to entire countries failing to do so, some places on Earth would not have as much capital, even after combining their wealth with that of other states in their income bracket. The combined purchasing power of the 4 poorest countries on Earth, Tuvalu, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, and Palau, would still be $254 million, less than the watermark for billionaire status. Number 9. You can stack it very high. The physical dimensions of $1 billion are impressive, to say the least. If distributed in $100 bills stacked on top of each other vertically, the result stack would rise an incredible 1,092 meters. If that sounds like a mountain of money to you, the reason is because that altitude put some real spikes on the ground. The highest mountain in England, Scafell Pike, at 977 meters, is almost 368 meters below the peaks of wealth created by our hypothetical billion in Benjamins. Height, however, is not the only dimension in which $1 billion is surprising. At 2,000 pounds, $1 billion in $100 bills turns the scales twice the weight of an average killer whale. And if it confuses your mind, imagine the height of a stack of dollar bills. That pile would reach more than 12,000 meters in height, leaving for the space that, according to the USA, starts at 10,854 meters. If you thought it was big, imagine $1 trillion. The height of a stack of $1 trillion bills will measure 67,866 miles. This would reach more than a quarter of the way from Earth to the moon. Number 8. You could buy 5,000 houses. For $188,900, the average cost of a home in America is unlikely to make a billionaire blink. In fact, a billionaire could buy 1,000 houses at the average cost. After that, he would still have 23 times more money left than all of Tuvalu's GDP. It is almost a wonder because no billionaire has ever bought Tuvalu and built 1,000 houses on it. Or, for billionaires with less imperialist tendencies, becoming familiar with the scope of their wealth could be accomplished by purchasing 5,000 new homes. With that amount of addresses, they could sleep in a new home every night. In addition, they would not have to use one that they have used before for a period of almost 14 years. Number 7. You could buy a new castle every day for a year. Although experts find it difficult to agree on the exact cost of the average castle, the most commonly used metric to estimate its costs is to multiply the cost of the normal sports house without a drawbridge by 12. Basically, this is the comparison of historical costs between castles and houses. At a rate of $188,900 for an average home, the cost of a castle was expected to reach about $2.3 million. At this rate, a billionaire could afford to stock his kingdom with more than 430 castles. That's more than enough for over a year and 2 months of new castles every day. However, they may want to buy only 300 to save enough money to cover the pit water bill. Number 6. You could live an ordinary life for an extraordinarily long time. An ordinary person earns a median personal income of $31,099 each year. To put in perspective how little it is compared to $1 billion, consider the following. If a billionaire gave an average American just 1 cent of every dollar he owned, the recipient of those cents would be left with $10 million. This will make them 322 times richer than they were originally. If a billionaire decided to go on a financial diet and restrict his annual spending to fit the limits of the common man, he could live without running out of money for 32,155 years. However, they would have to invest a much larger amount than the average salary to live 32 millennia. Number 5. You could buy all the remaining wild tigers and clone them. Years of poaching and habitat decline have reduced the number of wild tigers to almost as low as those of wild billionaires, with only 3,200 of the 100,000 tigers roaming the jungles. But something can be done to increase its population. Fortunately, at market rates of 7,500 per big cat, assuming the laws of the economy do not apply, and regardless of maintaining costs, a billionaire could buy 42 times all of the existing stock, if that were possible. But, fortunately, it is. Average cloning fees are at a historic low of $150,000. He or she could clone all of your new cats without losing your status as a billionaire. If you round up, they will still be worth $520 million after cloning the 3,200 cats. Number 4. You could go into space every day for a decade. Only 566 people have visited this space throughout recorded history. Becoming an astronaut is one of the few things less likely than becoming a billionaire. However, Virgin Galactic offers the opportunity to venture to infinity and beyond. This whole experience costs about the same amount as an ordinary cloned tiger. It is likely that the number of billionaires taking flight will literally take off. Deposits for Virgin Galactic's foray into the final frontier start at just $250,000. With such low costs, a billionaire could start the day with coffee and a space flight every day. They can do this for more than a decade before their finances hit a black hole. Private space travel has so far only been offered by the Russian Space Agency. However, the increasing number of Virgin Galactic deposits means that the days of Aristonautas passing through the stratosphere are looming on the horizon. Number 3. You could be the richest person in Zimbabwe. The nation of Zimbabwe is known for its large game reserves, unspoiled nature, and majestic waterfalls. However, although it is known for its wealth of natural resources, it is not famous for its expanding coffers. In fact, this nation rich in culture and the environment is hardly a Silicon Valley south of Ecuador. Its inhabitants, like the rest of Africa, live a life whose realization comes less from money and more from the wide variety of natural wonders that surround them. As a result, Zimbabwe's richest man has a net worth of $600 million, according to Forbes. That amount is hardly a laughingstock, but it pales in comparison to the green waves that rise from the endless wealth of a billionaire's bank account. Consequently, a billionaire tired of being one of over 500 can move to Zimbabwe. There, their wealth will place them in a financial weight class of their own. Number 2. You can put a dollar bill belt around the Earth. Mother Earth is a woman with curves and a circumference of 24,901 miles. Her waist is far from small. Perhaps due to the size of the Earth, historical attempts to adorn it with belts are based on imaginary circles. An example is Ecuador. However, a modern billionaire could trace a trail of dollar bills 3 times around the planet. This is before you have to ask your friend for some extra money. Although I imagine that friends would not sympathize with your cause after hearing how your fortune exploded on a beaded belt. At 6.14 inches long per piece, it will take more than 256 million units to cover the circumference of 1.57 billion of the Earth. Although I'm not sure why anyone would want to spend more than $250 million to turn Ecuador into a belly dancer belt. I bet it would give you something interesting to watch during your daily space flights. Number 1. You could start a private air force. For just $85 million, a person can buy a Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II. This space-age testament to the evolution of modern aeronautics is truly a sight to behold. Its features include short-haul vertical takeoffs, maximum speeds of 1,200 miles per hour, and more missiles than you could imagine. These airborne hot rods are the Navy's favorite ride, and if you were a billionaire, you could have a new one for each day of the week. Why might you need your own private Air Force fleet, you may ask? Well, in case you accept my previous suggestion and decide to try tiger conservation based on cloning, you might need a powerful way to assert your dominance over the neighborhood poachers. Or perhaps you just need a way to encourage your daughter's prom couple to treat you well. So, as you saw, $1 billion is more money than most people will ever see in their lives. It is a monumental amount of money that can finance activities and ideas whose extravagance and eccentricity become legends. Would you clone tigers readily if you had $1 billion? Or would you invest in more humanitarian causes? Leave your answer in the comments below. And remember to subscribe to the channel, leave your like and share with your friends. And bye bye!